So I wanted to talk about something that just kind of what sort of frightens me about sometimes my memory, why I can remember certain things. And it's almost like I couldn't remember it, but it's like a videotape that goes through my mind and it just stores there. I don't know. But you can look up the validity of what I have to say about this story right now. This is about the identical black girl twins that lived next to the alley, where there used to be a lot of kids that used to cut the short, used to walk. There was a little walking trail, like very refined walking trail on the side of that hill, where people used to cut through there to get to their house. Everyone used that shortcut. Everyone did. Well, the two black girls that lived there, you can go into the real estate records, you can look up to see who lived there, find out where these girls are, parents. I don't know what that story was. I don't know, this was so long ago. I was about 6 to 7 years old when they used to walk home all the time. And the twins used to walk home, and I remember my mother crying would see those twins, and I talk about this in my other video. Now, this is something of my detail that I talk about that could be profoundly accurate, but you're gonna have to find out, because I don't have access to this level of, background check. I did not communicate with that mother. I saw her maybe like 3 or 4 times my entire life that I can even recall right now. Could have been a few more times, but I did frequently see the girls always outside playing, and somewhat pretty often. And I remember seeing the mother in the medical outfit, and I was told, or I overheard, like one of the neighbors saying that she worked 12 hours, she worked like more than 12 hours a day, like all day, that's all she did. And I remember this woman looking at me, and she just looked over at me, and I don't know how, they just knew that this guy was a rapist. He's a child rapist. I don't know how these people knew. I know they knew, because I remember them looking over after a couple of days, me being over there. And I wasn't playing, I never played with the girls, I just saw them. And I don't know what I was doing in that area. I don't know if I was cutting through the alley, or I was next door to this other kid named Justin. He used to live there. He was like half white, half Mexican kid. And I thought it was important for me to talk about, because that woman that I saw, she looked at me, and I remember she looked, and she just looked, and she looked kind of protecting in the idea of, sure, that's how adult women are. Not all of them, but most of them. There's a certain type of feeling and comfort or understanding that they're a higher superior of looking out for the best of just, you can just be a kid and enjoy your life. No one to look out for you. And, go about your business. But she looked as I was walking, and she goes, and I remember she kind of kept her head on, because she knew there was rape, but I think they knew more that it happened to Frankie. They don't know if it happened, how much it happened to me. And I remember them looking over toward Mickey's direction house, pissed off. And these are not half black people, they're black. And I remember, I don't know if there was like one kid there. I think there was one boy and maybe one other girl. So I know there was at least the twins and one other kid, but it could have been a total of 4. And when I was in that house, I never went inside the house, never actually played. I just remember just being sort of very curious, because I had never really seen twins before, and I was like, oh wow, they look exactly the same. How they communicated toward one another. And I was somehow, I don't remember this, and this is what you need to look up, where you need to do the research for, is I recall, they never said anything, I just remember them looking like, yeah, huh? And I don't, like, because by this time in the early 90s to late 80s, people went to prison, and especially black people, and outrageous, it's still to this day, it was unbelievable. They just want to incarcerate all blacks. Everyone, my dad used to tell me how bad they had it. everyone knows the blacks had it the worst. They were very close to one of black on black because the whites just got them to work, stole everything, and killed them off, and did all this other shit. And they were strong enough for somehow, some way to plow through that shit. And anyway, there was a boy. This is the most profound. What somebody has to look up that I'm wanting to know. I'm curious to know. There was a boyfriend that lived in that house, and this is terrorizing to me sometimes because I remember hearing this conversation one time with, I don't know if it was like the neighbor, but it was an adult, and they weren't necessarily talking to me, maybe talking to somebody else. Could have mentioned it to me, I think, and said, he goes, yeah, she had a boyfriend there, she dated a guy, but I think he moved out, and I'd seen this guy before. And I remember seeing this guy, and I want to say I remember, and he, you know what he looked like? A lot like? He looked almost exactly like, there's different body shapes, but his body shape was almost identical. Because this woman was tall, so he had to be tall. And I remember him stepping out, and you know how like the woman, the female, finds out the information, and then she tells like the man, like the male lion, like, oh motherfucker, you think this is how things gonna run here? You think that's how life is here? Like, and I remember him walking to his car and kind of looking like, not here, like, and you know, and looking. And I don't know if he said something. I don't think he said something, but he's not yelling at me in any kind of way. And he's sort of just kind of looking. I could tell the attention's Miguel and what he did. Okay? Well, you could see who this guy was. I don't know who he was. Very looking tall. You can look to see where this guy worked. You know why? If I remember correctly, I only heard this once, saying he was, I don't know how I heard this, I don't know, he was a bus driver. He was a bus driver for the city. And this is what's kind of, the last couple days I was thinking. The bus driver that I talked about, that I used to go with Ceci many years ago. I was probably about 8 years old. Yeah, I was about 8. Because see, Ceci was about 12 when she started going, and I'm 4 years, and I think Frankie and Ceci are pretty close to the same age. So then Frankie, so I would have been about 7 to 8 years old. And they moved out when I was somewhere around 6 or 7. But I remember looking at this guy, and it could, you know, there's a good chance it probably may not be him. I talked about a story that when I used to go to Children's Medical Center with Ceci, how scary it used to be. Back in those days when you got on a bus, it was frightening as hell. Like, there was crackheads that would get on that bus. There were people that you didn't know that could have a knife, stab the shit out your ass. It was scary back then. Like, there wasn't cameras on the fucking buses. Like, you relied on that bus driver to be able to take people to where they needed to go. And the hospital in the area where Children's Medical Center is like in ghetto downtown. Like, it used to scare me because it was so shadowy and so like dirty outside at times, and there was like sometimes you'd see people living underneath the bridge and like homeless people, and it's like nobody gave a shit, and it was just real shadowy and gloomy. I remember, and I recall going there, and I talked about this one time that I was with Ceci on a bus, and I was just nervous as fuck. I was trying to like man up, you know, and like think to myself like, because there was a couple people that were sitting down, and I was thinking this guy may want to attack us or grab us, and I could see Ceci was like fucking just normal as shit, and I was just like calm, and I was nervous that somebody was gonna fuck me up, you know, and I'm like, knew that I wasn't very big, and I remember talked about that there was a black driver of a bus driver, and I remember him driving the bus, and he looked kind of like the same body shape, fairly big guy, very tall, very similar to the guy that used to live with that woman that worked all those hours on Osceola with the two black twin girls with that guy. And I remember I said that he opened the door and he was like this, and it's old school ones. You know, you gotta like move the, you know, and he does this, and he's like, you know, he's kind of nodding his head like, you know, Children's Medical Center, kind of like he's just the guy that makes sure you're gonna, you know, you were doing what was good, what you need, good needs to be done. And he knew that I was there because I looked very healthy, and you could see the tube in her stomach, and I'm just following. We were just kids, and he just kind of opens and goes, and then starts to drive the bus. I think that same bus driver, that guy, was the guy that was in that, was between the alley, that was where those black girls. I think I don't know if he was the biological father, but I know he was the boyfriend that lived there. I never thought, it never seemed bad. I never believed that there was nothing bad that happened in that house. Never heard. That woman looked very professional, in my opinion. She seemed, the mother, just by the structure and conversation, from what I could tell, looked very, very formal, very, because she had her daughters to take care of. Now, I don't know if this person was a trained. I highly doubt that this person was. I don't remember seeing any of that, but what the fuck do I know? And so if you can look that up to find out what that guy's job, I'm going to say he was the bus driver. It'd be wild because I want to say that guy was the bus driver. He worked as a bus driver and for a little while, and I don't know if he had lost his job or whatever it may have been, but that was the story to it. And I remember my mother, I talked about this in my other video, she was crying and I didn't understand why, because they used to walk home and my mother would look, you could see through the window and they'd be walking together, them two, and you could see how in company they were with one another. And they used to play a lot of hula hoops. I think I remember them as like sort of the hula hoop girls, because they liked the hula hoops. I think I remember seeing them with hoops quite frequently. They seemed pretty active, and but that was the story. They used to walk by our house all the time. My mother would be crying. In one separate occasion, maybe twice that I saw, but one occasion she wasn't like ugly cry, but she was deep crying, and it just hit me in my chest again with the electronic device directing me toward the crucifix, huh? So my mother was crying, and I never understood that. That to me is very shocking that I remember that. She was crying, because all I said when I came home is I was excited because I had never seen twins before together, and it was the first time that I'd ever seen twins in my life. The first time I'd ever seen twins in my life, because it's a very unique bond they have toward one another, unlike any human being that has any partner, whether you're gay, transgender, whatever the fuck you are. Twins and their companionship and relationship is extremely bonding and unique, that it's unlike anything else. And I remember thinking that to myself, because I would just watch them, and you would just watch them, and I was like, how they would function toward one another. Like, one pulled out the gum and the other one was chewing on it, and it was, I remember them walking home together, and they would walk home, and I asked my mother, and I was like, oh, Mom, there's twins over there. There's twins over there. And she was started to cry. And then she was like, she was crying. I didn't know why. I was like, I don't know why are you crying? That was a good thing I said. I was just twins. What was going on? And she was crying. And she was sitting on the couch, and and then she just kept on like sort of talking to herself while watching the TV, and she's just paying attention to me slightly, like on the side. And I'm standing up in the living room near the kitchen and pathway of the door, and she goes toward the kitchen, and she was like, "Oh no, it's okay, it's okay." And she's like talking over there, like, "No, it's okay." And she's just like thinking to herself, because the twins have been separated, but. like I said, this is such a tragedy because why is it that Julian gets his identical twin? My mom gets to reunite with her identical twin. My dad didn't know. I have all these identical twins that are showing up. Why is it that I couldn't reunite with Michaela and lose out on my life like that? Why is it that? Why I don't even know my biological father? Because Sarah Cooper and Kenneth and Ken Cooper are the ones that reunited them and kept them safe right over there. And they get the emotional credit right there. Why didn't I didn't get those opportunities to grow? I don't want to grow some old, worthless bitch. Look at this motherfucker, what they're doing. And then I have to change my conversation with the president doing with Sarah Palin and all this other goddamn shit. You know, like... fucking scum worthless bitch. Goddamn, mutilating the shit out of my sister and mother beyond anything these psychologists and this president gives a shit, even a glimpse to, and a glimpse of a glimmer of a fucking flash to even think they understand of what they're fucking doing. I'm fucking there. I'm fucking in the house. This is my fucking mother. They act like I'm just like some fucking kid that was floating around in some fucking other place and I was just barely fucking there. Like, it's hard. It's hard for me to think that, you know, you goddamn motherfucker, you goddamn fucking piece of shit, Kenneth, you motherfucker, and they don't give a fuck. All the faggots and gays they're so poisonous toward me, and I've only been lucky enough to withstand so much of it and describe what's happening. If my mother has a fucking brains for a fucking bag of rocks, what the fuck do you think she's gonna be able to identify and describe about what the fuck they're doing to her that affects directly toward me, directs directly to my biological father, but it's about Sarah Cooper and how she owns the spirit of Marissa and Miranda and how she gave it to us. And it's the psychologist that did this, and then she gets off the hook for Kenneth. White power, yeah, it was because of white. No, that's exactly why. That's 100%. And it's brutal, you know, like, I don't give a goddamn fuck. You know? You get a $500,000 house, you steal 170. The bitch is laughing at the funeral, and you have this faggot charge at me because he wants to protect her. That's what he fucking does. Nobody gives a fucking shit about my mother and how she felt that she didn't want me having sex with a black girl. Oh, did she have an abortion or she have a miscarriage? Oh, now it's for Keynote 97 on the beat, you know, same of like niggas. You know I was with y'all niggas. What the fuck? And then throw that dead body on me. And then he had to get that happen because his dad did that to him on purpose. Ken Cooper. Oh, is that his dad, or is they were inseminating random babies or women? But anyway, yeah, and you know, and then that's what his family did to him to make him, you know, like a strong man. Because when you deal and have horrible shit like that, it makes you sturdy and strong. Yeah, yeah, just dispose of this goddamn shit. Over, yeah, and it was just protection. They were never a part of it. There was nothing glorious, and then that's the glory that they praise that they get at the radio credit right over there too, huh? But I'm going and taking this transitor goddamn to the fucking Children's Medical Center telling me he's gonna fucking die. And what do I get? They do this to my mother. My mother's crying over Sepsi, you know, and they're scared the little kid's gonna die. Saw her cry for more out of that than her dead daughter over here. This one's a real girl. Transgender for President Barack Obama for the niggas. Oh no, I mean for the whites. Oh no, I mean for the transgenders, for Kim. You know the secret. You know the secrets and how we work. And that's what they're doing. It's such a brutality that, you know, that I think that, you know, I don't want to be a part of. And I don't want to be a part of any of it. Because not only is it squandered, but they make the spirituality and religion of what they want through that worthless dead body of a girl to make it to their glory. That's all it is. And it's nasty talking because that's exactly what that is. That's all that fucking is the contentment that you feel toward the relationship of afterlife You know, people watch these medium TV shows all the fucking time, and yeah, it's always great to hear you. You know, oh, fucking so and so tells you from this side or whatever bullshit. Yeah, they always tell you fucking good news. Yeah, it's good to get that good news, huh? It's fucking soul sacrifice, not just your fucking dead body sacrifice. No, it's your existence sacrifice for my fucking personal glory. Yet this is the only biological sister I have. It's direct biological sister. Not even Michaela's only half my sister. You know, and she's half blood. She looks a lot like me. She's a girl. No, it's Sarah Cooper that felt the emotion that gave the spirit over to Michaela. Yeah, and then it's to engañar, para engañar el espíritu y mentalidad que tienes. Really harm you, and that's what you eat. And and then that's the treasure you feed. It feels good. That's the worthless motherfucking bitch is what she's doing. But people think, oh, it's just nasty talking and all this other shit. We're finding people, let me tell you something. There's fucking dog cemeteries. You can go to some cemeteries and they have burial plots for fucking dogs and cats. Okay? In Dallas, I have seen them. Fucking, it's really large. It's on, I think Harry Hines is one of the places that has them that I remember seeing. There is a dog and cat. I don't even know if they have other burials of other creatures, snakes, hamsters. I don't fucking know, but I just know that there is a dog cat cemetery. There are fucking dogs that have a fucking tombstone and a burial plot and a dignified fucking area that is separated from some, you know, I don't fucking know, 20 yards from the humans, but has a fucking name and fucking burial plot with a tombstone on there and fucking flowers. But this little girl that I'm watching is for Jesus Christ and the movement of Barack Obama, and I'm never supposed to get angry. I'm never supposed to get pissed off because this is the glories of what you're doing. There's no proper burial. There's for 30 years, but you're preparing all these emotions to gratify Kenneth at the radio station for the niggas. Oh, I mean President Barack Obama for the transgenders. Oh, it's just angry. Yeah, and that's how I have to be. I have to be disposing of the dead, worthless dead body and be that way. Even though I never would have been, I have to be that way. Because this is about the scum shit that you allowed a bitch to fucking do and all these transgender faggots that were attacking me for so many fucking years. Because they just piled up and made their own opinion, and I'm the one that's being fucking slapped by total strangers that I'm living in a fucking house with. Claiming that they're Barbara Bush. Well, who the fuck are you? I just got done walking into a fucking garage where somebody's telling me they're dropping a fucking van full of bombs and explosives, bitch, and my dad spoke to the president. You want to hit me, motherfucker? Like, but it's Barbara, you know, the president. What the fuck? Who the fuck are you? And they all keep doing this. For the president, this one's Barack Obama, this one's for George Bush in the world. And they're fucking attacking me. And that's what they'll say. And that's what they'll say. American flag, American white flag. We know how to do it. Like, what the fuck? There's a dog cemetery. In fact, I'm going to go and visit a dog cemetery when I get to Dallas. I'm going to go to a fucking dog probably cemetery. That's probably something I'm going to go do. I'm going to go show y'all and put this on video. You'll see that people have spent. And dog cemeteries are fucking not cheap. My mother... Damn, I remember my mother talking about this shit. Because we drove on Harry Hines a few times, and we were driving by, and it's a pet cemetery. It says, you know how like in Auschwitz? In Auschwitz, there's a sign right before you enter the death camps, and before you enter the slavery camps, it says, I don't know what it says in German, but it says, work will set you free. You know, it's just whatever it is in German. Well, it's built just like that, but it says Pet Cemetery. Little banquet, rainbow. It's not rainbow colored, but arch. You know, like a little door walkway path. And my mother, I remember saying something to me about this. This is something I've never shared. I come to think of it, and she said something about the Pet Cemetery. Y digo, sí, ahí, mira, ahí tienen los perros, ahí casi. Mira, esa gente tiene lleno de dinero que mira que vas a poner tu perro ahí con. This is what she's saying. And I walked by her saying, I remember this. I remember my mother talking about the Pet Cemetery. Well, this little girl dies, is vomiting, and Ivan is walking up and down the streets. Gets to look cool and be shamed, and that's the most horrible feeling in front of everybody. I know he didn't like it in the beginning. Obviously, he's a kid, you know, but I don't even know. But my mother. Oh, but you know what? It's keynote. Nice and on the beat. Feel sorry for Lynette. But that's wasting your life. Oh, but you know, just fuck you. Just take whatever I want. Fuck it off. Like, there's no burial plot. There's no flowers I get to take to this person that was alive. There's not a ceremony. There's not a fucking. Let's go to a restaurant as a group of table and we all sit there and talk about it. There's nothing. There's none of that shit. There's a fucking pet cemetery. My mother would complain about this shit. And she said, because she was the only one that pointed me out. And I said, what? They had a pet cemetery? Because Frankie and Julian may be able to tell you this too. I know Frankie could. Julian might be able to say this because we drove by there. There's some Harry Hines. I remember this. It's a pet cemetery. And it says Pet Cemetery. And there's all these plots. And my mother was like, no, esos son con los hijos. Mira, tiene tanto dinero para tirar, tienen un plot con sus perros. And then I remember my mother going into her zone. I could tell, like, when she went into the zone, it was because she was thinking about her daughter. That it was time to throw your dog away. Sarah, who was trying to get ready to throw her dog away. And go to give it to my mother. I mean human and angel and beautiful, precious little girl who's gonna print. Yeah, that's Sarah. Hey, I think there was something wrong here. You took $175,000 to save my brother from. You won't let me go to work. You steal my money from the blood transfusion. You just keep saying you saved my fucking life, but then you infect me with HIV. No, you want to help your fucking whites, and this is not my country. This is the fucking George Bush's and Barack Obama's fucking country. This is a dictatorship. This is what this is. This isn't any of this shit. You have your whites and you have your motherfuckers that are doing this. You're bringing this topic up to mutilate it and make it about you, and that's what you have been doing and practicing. That's what the story has been about the dead little girl and Ken Cooper and Sarah Cooper and Kenneth. That's what it's all been about. That when I come in contact with people, the bus driver, Ken Cooper, the white, and let me just say something mean to him for environment for a couple times. Yeah, just Ken Cooper, keeping it white where it need to be white, right? Yeah, it was for the Jesus Christ cross. What the fuck? I don't even know if they have a pet cemetery here. They could possibly have a pet cemetery. I'm sure Vermont may have a pet cemetery. There's a bunch of faggots with all this fucking money and shit and what's going on. They probably have a pet cemetery in the location. But it's very expensive. And my mother said, I don't know what the fuck she said. Like, I know this sounds fucked up, but I remember her saying that she called or someone told her that she knew someone or that she had a conversation with someone saying that it was like $7,000 to bury a dog and give it a plot. And that's a dog back then, $7,000. And the reason it was more expensive nearly to bury a dog was because it was a dog, not because it was a human. There was something with the price differential, like if you do the mathematics and price differences, the percentage of how the dignified of a human being when you bury them was extremely unvalued compared to like if you did the ratio numbers somehow, like it was like $4,000, $7,000. She was like, it was a lot of fucking money. It was not cheap. You had to have a lot of money to bury, and they put them in vases in little coffins, and it was a full. Some of these, I'm not kidding you. Some of these tombstones are fucking big. Like some of these people put a fucking tombstone that was the funeral of that dog had to have been with the casket, with the fucking urn, the tombstone itself, and the extravagant it was. It had to have been more than what you paid for my father when he got buried. It had to have been at least fucking $10,000 with the dog fucking picture on there. Little coochie, whatever the fuck it is that you want to call it, your fucking dog, is fucking gets a $10,000 plot burial. My mother was saying, esos son por ricos, mira que tienen tanto dinero para tirar, para poner su perro ahí, y mira todos gente que están tirado aquí en las calles. You have so much fucking money to take care of your fucking dog, but you got all these people laying around dying. That's what it is. But we're gonna make sure Ken Cooper and Sarah Cooper stay the angels in ownership and get everyone to believe, like I said, the spirit and energy and everything, and then scum me the shit because the president is the one that's doing it. You had Sarah Palin right there. You had your fucking government officials standing in fucking line doing that shit. It's not my perception of me going to DC and looking just to pick a fight and none of this shit. But it's disturbing. It's still, Frankie's sister and, Jillian. And what did we get at? Oh, yeah,